Happy Monday. Happy Motivational Monday. Healing Journey Reflections Monday. So it is August 1st. We are in the 8th month of the year. Ooh, I feel like it's going really fast. I don't know how it's going for you, but I hope your month has started off well. So I'm a little bit late starting this, and I had to just kind of giggle to myself because it's so funny that what I wanted to talk about this evening is something that I was struggling with earlier today. So, yes, I said, God, you've got jokes. You're having me talk about something that I am definitely struggling with. But as always, it is what I have always done, which is speak from my experience. So, yes, everything that I have gone through is usually what inspires me. So, this evening, I wanted to talk about the saguaro cactus. I am having the hardest time ever saying this name, and anxiety and how they could be connected. So, last week I was in Arizona and I had the absolute pleasure and honor of being flown out by a client to do her branding session, her photography shoot. And what happened is it was Arizona. It was, the desert. So, of course, there were all sorts of interesting plants that I don't see here in Brooklyn. And I also got to see oh my gosh, I'm going to start again. The saguaro plant cactus, which is something that I've always wanted to see. But I didn't know until recently when I saw up close and personal as much as I know about it now. And I don't really know that much. But I don't know if you knew this. Did you know that for it to grow one arm, it takes about 50 years or up to 75 years? I suppose it depends on the plant before it grows its first arm. That means that some of these cacti are what we might call, in people terms, late bloomers, right? So you are in the desert, you have no arms, you're 50 years old, all of your other saguaro plants friends are growing an arm, you are armless, and you're like, yes, it's going to happen for me next month. No, next year. No, turn 52, you turn 53. Oh, it's going to happen soon. Nope, you turn 60. Okay, I'm going to get my arm this year. You are 25 years later than all of your little cactus friends. So this sound familiar to you? Can you relate to this? This could be in terms of our business, where we're like, okay, I started this business 5 years ago. Why is it not popping off yet? Or, okay, I have signed up for dating profiles and I've done this and that. Why can't I find my husband or my wife yet? Or I'm trying for a baby for years, maybe this year, maybe next year. I've done these fertility treatments. Nope, not happening, right? And we can get really, really impatient. And actually, then because we're looking around and we're seeing other people with the things that we want, either in our personal lives or our professional lives, these other people have them. And we're going years literally without having them. We're looking around, we start comparing ourselves. Well, maybe it's that I'm not doing it right. Maybe there's something wrong with me. And to a point, that possibly could be something to think about. For example, if you're always holding a grudge, or you're having this unforgiveness that you're now turning into other people. Yes, of course, it could have something to do with, your business or your relationships not thriving. But in general, sometimes it's just not the right time. It's not the time for you. And so we just have to be patient. And so that was what I really learned in the desert was there's a lot of patience, and it's brutal out there. Well, when I was there, actually, I they had like this rainy, I guess the monsoon season might be starting, but the temperature dropped. And there was one day I actually had goosebumps and I was looking for a sweater because I got a little chilly. It's like, who would ever think I would go to Arizona in July and want a sweater? But I did, right? So, but typically, you're in this desert and it's harsh and it's kind of dry, except, during like the monsoon or when you get some rain. And it's not easy to thrive. But, these plants were planted there intentionally because they were meant to thrive there. And sometimes we are in hard environments and we look around and we're like, why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? And maybe we are meant to be there at least for this time period to learn things. Like I know, for example, some of the things that I went through in my healing journey, even though it was very dark, well, I don't think that that was God's plan originally for me to go through it, but all things do work together for good. And it's something that I can use. But when we start like looking and comparing and saying, oh, I don't have this or I don't have that like others do, we become anxious. And then we become kind of hasty. We start trying to speed things up and making them work. So now, like the saguaro cactus, right? He or she, I don't know why I'm giving it a gender, but anyway, this plant may not be meant to grow an arm at age 50. It may be meant to grow an arm at age 60 or 75, right? You can't rush it. You can't make that cactus can't make that arm develop any more than you or I can make certain things in our life happen. Of course, we can prepare ourselves, right? And that's what, in that time frame where we're waiting for our arm to grow, metaphorically, we're waiting for things to happen for us, where we're preparing and healing, because this is a lot of what happens. And I know this is what happened to me. So after rape, I was like, I want to pretend as fast as I can that this did not happen to me. Let me move on and try to get to know someone new. But that was me being hasty, right? I was trying to rush through a process that I was not meant to rush through. And a lot of times we do this. We have this tendency to want to rush through. Someone hurts us. We want to just like push through the pain, right? Fake it even till we make it. That's a part of, being hasty. But, faking it, if for those of, if you who are watching this who are Christian, our God is a genuine God. He doesn't give fake. He gives real confidence. He gives real gifts, right? He gives real talents. He gives real intelligence. He gives real friendships and partnerships. These are real things. There's nothing fake with him, right? But it takes time to grow these things. And so now all of a sudden we're like trying to rush into a relationship to try to speed up marriage, or we're trying to rush the process of like our business. And that is actually why I was late this evening. I'll just be honest. So I have never really had a logo for my photography business. And so today I felt kind of creative. So I was like, I'm going to try to design this thing. Well, it wasn't working. And then by the end of it, like about 10 minutes ago, well, a little bit, maybe 5 minutes before I started this video, I was like, this is not working. And I bothered two friends. We're like, what about this one? What about this one? I was honestly, I was being hasty. I was trying to rush the process because I just wanted my logo done at the end of the day. I wanted to be able to say, yes, I got this accomplished for my business. But you know what? I was like, for starters, I'm late on my commitment to doing these motivational Monday lives. And two, sometimes we just need to let it go, like release it and let it sit. So that is, I may not even work on it tomorrow. I have a whole list of things to do. So to be honest, like it made me giggle that I had to talk about being hasty, because I feel like that's what I was supposed to share this evening, those thoughts And yet I was trying to be hasty in an aspect of my business. And so it's all about perspective, right? So there is a Proverb 21:5, that says, the thoughts of a diligent tend only to plenteousness, sorry. So when we are diligent, when we are patient, when we are unrushed, we end up with plenty, right? But it says, of everyone that is hasty only to want. Hasty also means urgency. I had like urgency earlier this evening with wanting my logo done. It means insufficient. Definitely my logo that I was trying to put together was insufficient. It means also that you could be quick tempered or irritable. I wasn't really feeling irritable about it. I was just feeling more a little along the lines of discouraged. But really, what happens when we are hasty and trying to push through a process, particularly, especially, it's super important that we don't push through the healing process, right? That we take time to grieve the loss or the pain, right? Because what it can bring into, it says, when I looked up in the dictionary in Merriam-Webster, it said hasty is also synonymous with being quick tempered and irritable, which means anger, like a spirit of anger. And so if you've ever gotten into a relationship with someone and you've always felt irritable with them, or that person has always been kind of short tempered with them, it could be a sign that something has happened in their past that hurt them, and or that they feel guilty about. Maybe they'd hurt someone else and they pushed through it. They went too fast in their healing, and now everything's irritating them. Like, oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And they're so quick tempered, like nothing's right. They're never satisfied. And it says that being hasty leads us only to want. So in a relationship, we want this person to be perfect. We want this person to meet all of our needs. No one ever is going to ever meet all of our needs. Like, it's just not possible. No human being is God. There's no way someone can meet our emotional needs fully, our spiritual needs fully, our physical needs fully, right? People only have so much time and they only have so much to give to themselves. Obviously, in a reciprocal relationship, there's give and take. But what I'm saying is, when we haven't healed and we've been hasty in the healing process, we start looking to other people to fulfill our needs. And we're always wanting, like, they give us a whole week or a whole day or weekend, right? They give us, like a full vacation, or like just a full weekend getaway, something, right? And it's just not enough. Like, there's just this void that, no, give me more, give me more. And the person's like, I just gave you everything. Like, what more could I possibly give you? And it's a lot of times because we rush through the process and we haven't forgiven ourselves. We haven't forgiven others. We haven't taken time, like I said, to just grieve. And we also may be looking around, comparing ourselves to others, right? So things may not ever be enough because, like I said at the beginning, the saguaro cactus takes 50 to 75 years to grow its first arm. So that's a 25-year gap between when one cactus may grow an arm and when another cactus may grow an arm potentially. And if we're doing this and we're comparing ourselves, we're going to be anxious, we're going to be hasty, we're going to be rushing through things, and then we're going to be messing up. And we're going to have more mistakes to clean up. And then we're actually potentially building layers of hurt on hurt on hurt on hurt, making it even more difficult and taking more time to heal. So diligent means unrushed. So to be diligent with our self-care, to be diligent with, taking our time and being patient with ourselves, patient with other people, because no one is at the same place as we are. This is another thing. We may have an arm and we may have everything that we ever wanted or needed. And someone else may come along and we're like, oh, you don't have an arm yet. And I'm not saying we should always like just give into people or date for potential or go into a business partnership with just because there's potential. You want to do it wisely, of course. And is this person, even though they don't have an arm yet, is this person working towards their goals? Like, what are their actions? Like, what fruit are they bearing? Are they like hanging out, chilling, doing nothing much with their days? Or maybe they don't have an arm yet, but they're like working towards growing their arm, so to speak. So when we also have our arms, that doesn't mean that we look down on someone else. That means you help someone else. So what I noticed in this one particular, so I had the hardest time with this name, Saguaro cactus, was that inside the cactus on like two different parts, this cactus was actually growing prickly pear cacti. So it was like a home for other plants. And they also, the one that I had didn't really have like holes in it, but a lot of times these cactus have like a hole where a bird can live in it, right? So they're not like, oh, I have all these really cool prickly arms, I'm too good to help you. No, there's, like relationship is still helping, even when we are ahead, like say we have our arms at age 50 and someone else, like a sibling or a friend or whatever, they're struggling, right? We don't look down on them and say, what's wrong with you? Why don't you have your arms? No, we want to always be humble and remember that really it's a gift that we even woke up this morning. And so, we want to stay humble and, be of assistance when we can and where it's appropriate. And be patient not only with ourselves, but we do need to be patient with other people because that's part of love. But when we have learned how to become patient with ourselves, be thankful that we have what we have, whether we have, like an arm or not. I'm using the metaphor still because I really like it. When we're in a contented place, in a patient place with ourselves, then we're going to be apt to be more patient with other people because there's going to be understanding, like, oh yeah, I do know this struggle. So taking time to heal. When we do not take that time to heal, we build anxiety. And when we're trying to rush other people through the process, we are also building anxiety in ourselves. So this can be a root cause of anxiety because we're just trying to rush through everything. We're angry or frustrated with ourselves that we're not where we should be, or we're angry or frustrated with like our partner or with a friend or a business associate because I'm looking for water. Because they're not where we think they should be, and maybe they're not supposed to be where we think we should be. Like maybe we should mind our own business, right? In a sense. Excuse me. So we're patient with ourselves. We're patient with other people. We help them. We're not like putting them down. And this is going to help us release anxiety. It's going to help us release anger because the diligent, they do not want. They are plenteous. So they have plenty of patience, plenty of love, plenty of joy. They can find resources, right? The important resources. Of that self-care, that tendency to think towards gratefulness, thankfulness, those things, right? So this will help us reduce anxiety. It will help us reduce anger, release it, and yes, just to be patient with ourselves. So this is my suggestion. Look around in nature, see what inspires you, because that's really where I got these thoughts that I am sharing with you was from nature. So look and see, observe. There's so much we can learn when we just look around us and, just also be patient. All right. Have a good evening. I'll be back next Monday. Good night.